Alright guys, since I won't be able to stream, I am instead doing a gameplay video that I'm gonna, if you're seeing this, it's premiering on Wednesday when I would normally be streaming. I have some real life stuff that I have to do on Wednesday, and so I figured this would make a good backup. Today I'm gonna be taking on Collector 1, which is not a generally well-liked, it's a difficult scenario, and the community generally doesn't like it. I personally see it as kind of a puzzle. It's kind of, you gotta make decisions on when you're gonna actually play what's in your hand and when you're gonna use it, or your hero, to get it out of to get a card out of the collection. Because the way that this plays is that if, so on this main scheme here, you have a hero action you can do. Choose to either exhaust your hero or spend 2 resources of any type and discard one card from the collection. And that is because you might be thinking, what is the collection? Well, the collector has this thing, this forced interrupt, where when a card, player, or encounter would be placed into a discard pile from play, you put it face up into the collection instead, which is not ideal. Because if there are at least 5 per player cards in the collection, or if this stage is completed, the players lose the game. So if this gets up to 10 threat, or if I end up with 5 cards in the collection, I end up losing. And so you can see there's choices that have to be made on what you're going to do, and it also really affects how you want to play your deck. This is not this is not generally a scenario that you would want to play with somebody who likes to put out a lot of cards that, in order to activate them, they end up discarding from play because they're going to go directly into the collection instead of to the discard pile. It's also notable that for this particular scenario, from what I understand, any card that you have that would bring something back from the discard pile immediately after it is discarded won't work, because of the fact that instead of going to the discard, that card goes to the collection. So lots of choices that you have to make with this, as far as, am I going to play cards? Am I going to discard my cards to keep the collection low? There's kind of strategic things that you might want to leave in the collection, which can get a little dicey over the course of the game. Like, there are certain enemies that, if you can get them stuck in the collection, that's great, because you don't want them coming back. The psionic, I forget exactly what they're called, but they're ghosts. It's a ghost. Those ones in particular, I prefer if they stay in the collection, because I hate it when they come out. However, I do have a card in this deck that will specifically help kind of deal with them whenever they're pulled as a, not as an encounter card, as a boost card, because they have a little star that does things that get really, really annoying as you play, and can really screw up. Here it is, Wraith. Wraith is not an ally that I've played at all in a very long time, but he does have kind of a cool ability where he's got a hero interrupt. When a boost card is turned face up, exhaust Wraith and deal 1 damage to him, cancel that card's boost effect. So Wraith is one that, unfortunately, he was right on top of my deck. Actually, it's good that I have to do this, because before I can even draw my cards, for setup, I have to create the collection game area and put the top card of my deck face up in the collection, so I would have immediately lost Wraith there. So hopefully I can get Wraith fairly early so that he can cancel a lot of those star effects on the boost cards, because there are quite a few in this particular deck. I actually did look through it just to see if I actually wanted to include Wraith, and I was like, yeah, I should include Wraith, because there are some fairly nasty star the boost effects instead of just boost icons. Alright, so this is immediately going face up into, oh, and it's Cosmo. So we're going to have, this is going to be the collection over here. If this gets up to 5 cards, either encounter cards or my cards, that's a problem. Alright, and then we're going to draw 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want to get through this as quickly as possible. I should probably flip this over. Alright, and it starts with 4. So I need to get this down. The collector has 13 hit points, as you can see. So rushing the collector as much as I can is probably a good idea. As far as Gamora is concerned, Gamora is a really interesting hero, and she's one of my favorites from the Guardians. Really from the early game, she's one of my favorites. I really liked, I think she was the second hero that actually broke the deck building rules, in that with her skilled tactician, you may include up to 6 attack and or thwart events in your deck from aspects other than your chosen aspect. So for this deck, I've thrown in 3 fire powers from aggression. This is a justice deck. So I chose 3 fire powers from aggression, and then I chose 3 momentum shifts, just for healing, so that I can keep her up in hero form. As much as her alter ego can actually be useful, and she does have a very useful support in alter ego, I really don't want this getting up too high, because I don't want to have to be dealing with that while trying to do damage and then keeping this down. But she does have an action on her alter ego side that's look at the top card of your deck. If that card is an attack or thwart event, draw it, which is definitely very useful. As a hero, she's got pretty much like just that kind of normal stat line that you would expect to see, especially like from the more recent heroes. We're starting to see variations in that again, but anyway, a 2/2/2 is a fairly normal, it's kind of a what you want to see stat line, no ones. So she can be fairly good all around. But she's got 10 hit points, as you can see on the screen. And then she's got these 2 abilities where finesse response, after you play an attack event, remove 1 threat from a scheme. You can only do that once per phase. So if you play a defense event during the villain phase that's also labeled an attack event, you get to remove a threat from a scheme. This can get a little confusing, like it's easy to forget to do that. I'm going to try my hardest not to. Same thing with the collector. It can get a little difficult to remember, oh, this got discarded, so it goes to the collection instead of to the discard pile. So I'm probably going to make some mistakes playing, but I'm going to try really hard not to. The other one is precision. Response after you play a thwart event, deal 1 damage to an enemy, limit once per phase. So it's the same thing for attack or thwart events. So yeah, Gamora, she's a lot of fun to play, very powerful if you build her right. I think she's probably one of the very, very few heroes that has the ability to both stun and confuse lock a villain reliably if you build her deck that way. Because most of the confused stuff is in Justice, and most of the stun stuff is going to be in Aggression or in Protection. So if you can pull the cards that do that, so like you've got Tackle in Protection, in Aggression you've got Dropkick, and then Concussive Blow is your is a card that will help you deal damage, and it's an attack card, but it can also confuse. I need to turn the sound off. Anyway, yeah, so she's one of the few heroes that can do an actual, like, stun and confuse lock deck. I did build one of those a long time ago. This deck is not that. It's one of those things that I would like to revisit, so I might actually play around with it in the future, and I actually really do want to run through a campaign using Gamora and Drax of Galaxy's Most Wanted. I started to do that like a couple of years ago while I was at SaltCon, but then I got interrupted and I never quite finished it. So with all the new cards coming out, I'd like to kind of revamp the decks, just build whole new decks for both Gamora and Drax, and then see if I can take them both through the Galaxy's Most Wanted, which I think gets kind of a bad rap, as I know it's the campaign that most people don't particularly like. This scenario is actually from that box. This is the second scenario in that box, but I actually really enjoyed it, and as I played through the different scenarios. The first scenario, the Brotherhood of Badoon, I think it's called, but most people just know it as Drang, because that's the villain that you're fighting against. Drang is actually a really popular one. He's actually kind of, I think out of that box, he is the favorite to play against. He's fairly straightforward, but it's a good, it's a good scenario to go up against, and I believe one of the videos that I did actually was up against Drang. So if you want to see that in action, you could just go back through my streams and you should be able to find it. I don't remember what hero I played it with though. In any case, let's get this started. So I don't really have a whole lot of time, so. And yes, I do have hydration. Alright, so let's look at what we have. So I'm not going to use momentum shift at all. Let's see. Oh, I do have hit and run in this deck. Initially I built this deck with multi-talented in mind, but currently multi-talented is in a different deck, and I didn't feel like digging it out, and I thought, well, this will force me to use a different card. So instead I went with Hit and Run. Hit and Run, I would say, is a worse card than multi-talented, but for Gamora it actually works because it's both an attack and a thwart. So is multi-talented, but I mean, at least like this gives you a little bit more with Gamora than it would with a different hero, where it would strictly be just worse. With her, it's really not that bad, especially at the beginning of the game, where I don't need the healing that's available on multi-talented. So momentum shift, we're going to say, is going to go away. Hit and run might actually be a nice one, just because I can do a couple of damage to Collector, take 2 off of the Grand Collection. Acrobatic move is always nice. I mean, I'm definitely going to keep Genius. A pulse grenade would be nice to get out so that I can start building up my firepower engine. And decisive blow isn't going to do me anything because I don't have any thwart. Well, I mean, technically I do. I have hit and run in hand, but I'm not sure if I'm going to play that. So I think actually I'm going to not do those. I'll get rid of hit and run, decisive blow, and momentum shift, and I'm going to keep these 3. Alright, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So not a great hand, but you know, we'll be able to get at least the pulse grenade out. We can play both acrobatic move and set the pace, and then before we flip up, we are going to use her ability to look at the top card of the deck, and if it's an attack or thwart event, draw it. And that is a thwart event, so we get to draw it, which is really nice. Alright. So we're going to flip up to Gamora's side. We are going to use Genius to get out our pulse grenade. I'm going to play acrobatic move to deal 2 damage to an enemy. So we're going to do 2 damage to Collector, which will take him down to 11. And then we're going to use Firepower and Momentum Shift to play Forward Momentum to remove 3 threat from, well actually, so this, again, like this is where she can get kind of confusing if you keep forgetting to do things. So it's after you play a thwart event, or an attack event, sorry, this is an attack event, remove 1 threat from a scheme, so we'll move 1 threat from the Grand Collection. And then we'll play Forward Momentum to remove 3 threat from a scheme. 5 threat if you've already played an attack event this turn. So in this case, it doesn't really matter what order you play them in, because I only need to remove 3, and then this would have removed 1 a little later anyway, so it would have taken it all off anyway. But it's always good to get into the habit to play cards in the right order. If you can. So we'll play those 2. And since this is a thwart, we get to do 1 more damage to the Collector. So he's going down to 10. And those will go away. I would play Set the Pace, except for the fact that this is completely clear. I'm also going to choose to exhaust my hero to discard Cosmo from the collection, so we'll keep the collection a little bit clear. And then that will end our turn. I'm going to hold on to Set the Pace. There are several side schemes in here, so I want to be able to remove threat as quickly as possible. Not to mention, she does have, I think I actually already drew one earlier and got rid of it. Yeah, Decisive Blow. So if I play Set the Pace, if I draw another Decisive Blow, then I'll do 7 damage instead of 4. And that actually will be 8 damage, because this gives me the ability to do 1 damage because it's a thwart action. See, this can get very confusing. So 2, 3, 4, there's a conditioning room. 5, cross counter. Oh, cross counter is good. This is, I think, one of my favorite defense events, because it's an attack, defense, and a thwart, all in 1 card. Okay, so this is going to go up by 1. The Collector is going to attack me for 1. I am just going to take the hit. Let's see. Oh, wait. Yeah, so he's attacking me for 1. I think I'm just going to play... I'm going to use Forward Momentum to play Cross Counter. So 1, 2. So I would take 2 damage. I won't take any. This card is when you would take any amount of damage, prevent 3 of that damage, deal 1 damage to an enemy, remove 1 threat from a scheme. So... that's going to do 1 more damage to the Collector. So we'll discard. That's going to take 1 threat off the scheme. And then because it was an attack and a thwart event, that's going to do another damage to the Collector. And it would take 1 more off of the scheme. However, there's nothing more to take off, so these go to discard. And then we draw... And we have a Servant Bot, who has both Guard and Patrol. So now I can't attack the collector, and I can't take threat off of the main scheme until the servant bot is gone. Okay. And it would be nice to get conditioning room out, even though I don't necessarily want to jump down to alter ego much. Just because conditioning room is exhaust conditioning room, return the bottommost attack or thwart event from your discard pile to your hand, and then heal 1 damage from Gamora. Let's see, so I think I'm going to use Set the Pace to play conditioning room just to get it out there. I've still got this pulse grenade in hand. I'm going to have, I don't need to do that. Again, I have these. I'll have Gamora attack the servant bot for 2. Then I think I am going to flip over. I'm not going to use her ability. I mean, I could use it in order to continue going through the deck a little bit faster, but I would like to get my setup pieces as quick as possible, and if I keep doing that, it has a tendency to start discarding some of your setup pieces, so not super great. And then I'm not going to use conditioning room. She doesn't need to heal, and I don't want to fill up my hand with cards from my discard pile. I want to see more stuff from my actual deck again to get to the setup stuff. So we're going to end. I'm going to hold on to the pulse grenade. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, and there's a decisive blow. Unfortunately, I have no hoarding cards in here. Alright, so this is going to go up by 1, collector scheming for 2, for 4 with the poison. So this is up at 5. The servant bot is scheming. Yeah, this is getting a little high. And we got a Star Shark. This is one that I actually don't mind if it stays in the collection. It's got Quick Strike, which thankfully I am not in. I'm not in hero form, so Quick Strike whiffs. But Star Shark's attacks deal indirect damage. And this is one that has one of those star boosts where it's deal 1 damage to each character you control. Star Sharks, they're just bad news. If you're using, like, if you do what people normally do when you have an ally left with 1 hit point left and you use them as a chump blocker and you throw them in the way of the attack, and the Star Shark comes out as the boost card instead of an encounter card, your blocker just got obliterated. Like, because the damage from the boost icon goes first. Or sorry, not the boost icon, the boost effect. Alright. So now now I'm going to use conditioning room. So we're going to go find the bottommost attack or thwart event. It's an attack event, it's momentum shift, which is not useful for me. I should have checked the order that I was discarding things in. Predictable ploy is not going to be useful until I start getting some of those side schemes into the victory display. So those 2 cards are useless to me. They can get out my pulse grenade. Command Center is not terribly useful because I don't have any allies out. Decisive Blow is nice. Unfortunately, I dumped Set the Pace, which would have been nice to have for this turn. We are going to use her ability before we pop up to look at the top card if it's an attack or thwart event to draw it. It is not. It's Gamora's sword. So that's just going to go right back on top. Because it says just look at it, don't discard it. So, or it doesn't say to discard it. So it's just going to go right back. So I know that the next card I'm going to draw from there is going to be Gamora's sword, which I would like to get out. It's expensive, but once that's out, every single time I play, every single time that I play an attack event, that's going to do 1 damage on something. So it's really nice to have that out. Let's see. I mean, I could play... Okay, I could use these to play hit and run, which is going to do 2 damage to an enemy and remove 2 threat from a scheme. Oh, but I don't know. So I think this happens at the same time, which means that I would not be able to remove threat from there. But that's okay. Okay, so instead what I'm going to do first, what I'm going to do very first, is I'm going to attack the servant bot and just get rid of it. So instead of going to discard, it's going to go over to the collection. So now neither guard or patrol is an issue. Then we're going to use these 3 cards to play hit and run. So we'll deal 2 damage to an enemy and remove 2 threat from the scheme. So we're going to do 2 damage to Collector. So he's down to 6. We'll remove 2 threat from a scheme. And then because it was an attack and a thwart, we're going to remove one more. We're going to, do 1 more damage to the Collector and then remove 1 more threat from the scheme. Okay, and now, as much as I would like to keep at least one of these pulse grenades, I'm going to actually use both of them to pay for Decisive Blow, because it will deal 4 damage to an enemy, 7 damage instead if you've played a thwart event this turn. Hit and Run is a thwart event. It's considered a thwart event, so that's going to take out the Star Shark. So now we've got 2 things that are in the collection. Remember, I can't, if I ever get up to 5 things in the collection, then I end up losing the game. That's one of the loss conditions of the game, or of this particular scenario. So that I've played out my hand. I can't do anything else. So we'll ready and draw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Man, it would be really nice to get another double. I'm pretty sure I've only seen 1 double so far, right? Yeah, I've only seen Genius so far. Where are my other doubles? I got 2 more in here. Alright, I do have a Skilled Investigator, which will be nice when the side schemes come up. Predictable Ploy, again, I can't do anything with. Momentum Shift, same, because I haven't lost any health. Nowhere would be nice to get out, but I think I'm going to try to get Gamora's sword out as soon as possible. Okay, so this is going to go up by 1. The Collector is going to attack. I'm just going to take the attack. I'm at full health. So 1. It's a Servant Bot, which doesn't have anything on it, so I end up just taking 1 damage. So I'm down to 9. And let's see what we draw. Oh, it's another Servant Bot. Alright. So I can't go after the Collector. I can't thwart from the collection. So that's not great. Since I only took 1 damage, I can't heal 2 damage. So again, Momentum Shift is still not useful. So we're going to get out Skilled Investigator, we're going to toss these 3, and we're going to get out Gamora's sword. put that over here. So now I've got 2 weapons out. So when I play Fusillade, or not Fusillade, Fusillade would work in this deck though. If I play Firepower, that is 6 damage. So I'll pay 1 plus the card, plus the, I keep thinking Fusillade, Firepower card, for 6 damage, which is not bad. Hopefully we can get back around to another one of those pulse grenades, and then we can be doing 9 damage on a 1-cost card, which would be just awesome. I think I'm gonna use her, and I'll just do 2 on the servant bot again. And then that'll be all I can do. Alright, so we'll ready and draw. Oh, there's a double. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, Groot's a nice one to get out. He'll be able to start tanking for me. Set the pace is good. Can remove threat, do a damage. Daughters of Thanos, unfortunately not useful until Nebula comes out. Okay, so this is going to go up again. Collector is attacking again. Now I'm just going to take the hit. 1. And this has a boost. If there are 3 or fewer cards in the collection, put the top card of your deck face up in the collection. And there's my other cross counter, unfortunately. So that sucks. So I take 1 damage. I'm down to 8. Then the servant bot is going to attack. I'm just going to take the hit. So we're down to 7. Okay, so now if I draw another momentum shift, now it will actually be useful. But for right now, I would like to, I'm going to use Strength and Daughters of Thanos. I'm going to put Strength on top. We're going to get Groot out. Man, I would really like to play Keen Instincts. I can't really do set the pace. I need to clear a couple of these out as soon as possible. So I'm gonna use Gamora to hit the servant bot. So the servant bot is going to go away. Then I'm going to use set the pace to remove 1 threat from the Grand Collection. And since it was a thwart, it's going to do 1 threat or 1 damage to the collector. So now he's down to 4. Man, I would like to use Groot to thwart another one off of here, but I don't know how helpful that is going to be necessarily. I mean, one of the good things about Groot is that after he defends against an attack, you get to heal 2 damage from him. So it's possible to keep him around for a while if you play it correctly. And that's going to be a lot harder to do if I'm just constantly using him to ping 1 threat off of the main scheme. So I think I'm just going to leave that alone. And I'll leave Groot. I'm going to hold on to this Keen Instincts because this is a resource generator. So it's an upgrade. Exhaust Keen Instincts, generate a wild resource for an attack or thwart event. So I do want to keep that around. And I'd get that out as soon as possible. So ready and draw. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, Venom could be nice. Okay, this is going to go up by 1 again. Collector is attacking. I'm going to have Groot jump in the way. So Collector is attacking for 1. Yeah, Psionic Ghost. I hate these guys. And because he's coming in, or he's a boost, he was a boost card, his boost effect is happening. So it's put Psionic Ghost into play engaged with you. Thankfully, that gets around the when revealed. So at least I'm not confused, which can get pretty bad. So anyway, Collector attacked for 1, so Groot is taking 1 damage. And then after he defends, he heals 2. So he's full health again. Now the Psionic Ghost is going to attack. I cannot use Groot to block that. I don't particularly want to exhaust to block that. So I'm going to end up taking 2 damage. We're down to 5. Alright, now let's draw the next card. Alright, so I get minus, this is the Obedience Potion. It's an attachment attached to your identity. Attached character gets -1 thwart, -1 attack, and -1 defense. And as a hero action, you take a damage and spend 2 mental resources to discard this card. This is not great. Alright, so we'll put this here to remember that I have to deal with that. Alright. I'm not going to be able to board Venom right now, so we're going to use him to get out Keen Instincts. That there. Conditioning room over here. A hit and run. Okay, so that would do, I could do 2 damage to the ghost. I could take 2 threat off of the main scheme. If I had, oh yeah, actually, you know what? This will work fine. As much as I would like to use acrobatic move, actually, you know what? Never mind. I can actually use acrobatic move. All right. So I'm going to use acrobatic move to deal 2 damage to an enemy. We're going to do that to the Psionic Ghost. Then that's going to remove 1 threat from the scheme because it was an attack. Then we're going to use Keen Instincts to generate a resource for an attack or thwart event and spend energy in order to play hit and run. So we're going to deal 2 damage to an enemy. That's going to be the Psionic Ghost. So the ghost is gone. He goes, I gotta remember, he goes here. And then we get to remove 2 threat from the scheme. And then I don't get the extra threat removal from this because I already did that with the last attack card. Oh, and with Gamora's sword. Because I played an attack event, so I get to do a damage to an enemy. So that's going to go on the Collector. So he's down to 3. Now we're playing another one. So with the thwart, so we played an attack event, and I used the her finesse response to take a threat off of here. Now I can't use that for this, but I can use precision because this is the first thwart that I'm playing. So this took 2 off of there, so now it's going to do 1 more damage to the Collector, but it's also an attack event, so it's going to also do from Gamora's sword another damage to the Collector. So now the Collector is down to 1 hit point on this side. And there goes hit and run. I'm going to exhaust Gamora, and I am going to get cross counter and put that back in my discard pile. I am going to need to pop down, but I don't want to do that until this is cleared off, because it just goes up so fast. Alright, so ready and draw up. There's the other Keen Instincts. Wraith, I would like to get Wraith out. Ooh, Jack Flag would be nice. A firepower and another firepower. Okay. Well, Jack Flag is definitely not happening. Man, I would really like to get Keen Instincts out and Wraith, but that's not going to happen with this hand. If I just had a double, or could draw another card. Alright, so this is going up by 1. Collector is going to attack. Groot is going to block. So Collector's attacking for 1, just 1. Groot takes the damage. And then... sorry. And then after that's done, he heals 2. Let's see. I'm gonna draw a card. Oh, yeah, Caught Off Guard. My Nemesis card. At the moment, I think the card that is doing me the least good right now, and will be the easiest to get back out, is going to be Skilled Investigator. So that's going to go. So there we go. Caught Off Guard. My personal Nemesis card. Yeah, so let's see what else we can do. Alright, so it would be nice to get Wraith out. But I would also like to get out Keen Instincts. However, I don't really think I need Keen Instincts right now. But man, Jack Flag. Jack Flag would be great, just because he could thwart for 2 off of the Grand Collection. Groot could take the last one off. I could flip down. I could heal. I think that might actually be the best idea. And then Jack Flag, he'll build up ammo counters, and then I can exhaust Jack Flag and remove an ammo counter from him to deal 2 damage to an enemy. So Jack Flag is another one of those allies that I really like. I just never play him. One, because I haven't played any of the Guardians in a really long time. And so I generally like to play thematically, so typically I'll try to include allies in a deck that match with the hero, and Jack Flag is a Guardian, so I would typically play him with Guardians. But also, like, the way I play has evolved over time, and so a lot of times I still think about cards, like older cards, as in the way that I used to think about cards, where I was a lot more reticent to be using these allies that do like a couple of different things and then having them leave play, because it's like, well, I don't want him to leave play because he does this really cool thing. But it becomes one of those things where it's like, if you're playing, like when you play RPGs, I don't know, like for the people who play RPGs, video games, like Skyrim, I don't know how many potions that I have in my inventory at any given time. I just, like, the only potions I ever use, because I really need to use them a lot of times, are health potions. Every other potion I just kind of stockpile because it's like, I'll probably need it later. And then I never end up using it because I'm like in a situation where I could use it. I'll be like, I probably need it more later. and then you just never end up using it, and you end up with like 50 of this potion that you're like, well, I don't want to use it because I might need it later. And I've been trying to get a lot better about that. But it's hard. It's because it's a habit that you get into as you play. And so I did get into a habit with a lot of allies that that actually do things while they're out. It's not just, you know, they have a when played effect and then you want them to leave play. Jack Flag is not like that. He's one of those ones that you kind of want to stick around, and you want to, like, if you can, it would be nice if you could just keep healing him, because then he could just keep doing thwarting and then doing damage. But over time, like, I've kind of started thinking about certain cards in the game differently and playing it a little differently, and this is kind of one of those cards that I still kind of have that habit attached to, that I need to remember, no, it's okay if he leaves play, because I could just bring him right back. So yeah, it would be nice. So I think I am going to get him out, as much as I would like to put Keen Instincts out, or Wraith. I think I'm going to get Jack Flag out. So we're going to pay 4 to get out Jack Flag. I'm going to move the Pulse Grenade down here. Okay. Then I'm going to use Jack Flag to thwart 2. He'll take a damage, and then he gets a counter. He gets an ammo counter. I don't know if these are the correct counters in my collection, but I figure, it works. It's a gun, so, and that's what Jack Flag has. He's got a very big gun right there. So, anyway, so that happens. Oh, Groot. I can't use Groot because he's already exhausted. I think it's okay if this has just 1 on it. I'm gonna flip. I'm gonna heal for 3. So we're gonna go back up to 8. Guess with the conditioning room. Oh, that would be nice. Alright, I'm gonna use the conditioning room, so that's gonna give me Decisive Blow back, because it's the bottommost attack card in my, or attack event in my discard pile. And then we're gonna heal another one from Gamora, so she'll go up to 9. Now I have to decide if I actually want to keep this in hand or discard it. I really want this card, so I'm gonna keep it, because that's a lot of damage, and when Collector flips up to his next thing, did I forget something in here? No, I didn't. Okay, so that's the next one, sorry. I was like, I knew in one of the collectors you end up using the ship modular set, but that's in the second one, not this one, so. Alright, so I'm gonna hold on to Decisive Blow. And then we're going to unexhaust and draw. That is the last card in my deck, so we're getting an extra card here. Oh, I hope there's something. Well, actually, you know what? I can. So I can spend on Nebula and then use Conditioning Room and bring the card, one of the cards that I'm using to pay for her, right back to my hand. So that'll be fine. Alright. So Alrighty, so we get to draw 6, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. It could have been better. Alright, so this is going up by 2. He's scheming for 2. And I have to put the top card of my deck. I got another inconspicuous box as a boost effect. There are only 3, so it says if there are 3 or fewer cards in the collection, put the top card of your deck face up into the collection. So unfortunately, that's going to be Wraith. Ironic, being he could have canceled that if he was out. Dang it. Oh well. Okay, so he schemed for 2, so this is going up to 4. That's fine. And now we've got 2 cards. Oh, we got the Cloak of Hercules. Attack to the enemy with the lowest attack. Well, the only enemy we have is Collector. Here, so that's going to give him +3 attack. Spend 3 strength resources, or 3 of the fist resources, to discard this card. That's bad. I gotta get rid of that. Oh, Crystal Ball. Alright. Hinder 2, victory 0. When defeated, the player who defeated this scheme may play a card from their hand, reducing its resource cost by 3. Alright. And it has 5. It's 3 and Hinder 2. So it's got 5 threat on it. Gotta get rid of this. Gotta clear this. Okay. We're gonna use Gamora's action to look at the top card of the deck to see if it's an attack or thwart event. It is not. It is an energy, unfortunately. It would have been nice to draw. So I'm gonna use trying to think of the best way to do this. Because if I go and I grab an attack event, alright, so I'm going to use Predictable Ploy and Hit and Run to play Nebula. And after Nebula enters play, you search your deck for an attack or thwart event and add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. Okay. So I think for this one, I would like to play Decisive Blow. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a better idea to go grab the 0 cost attack event. So Acrobatic Move. So I could play Acrobatic Move. That'll remove a threat from here. Then I can play Forward Momentum, which is going to remove 5 threat, which is going to immediately clear off the Crystal Ball. Unfortunately, that means that I won't have a card in hand. Though actually, I can still use Conditioning. I still need to use Conditioning Room. So I think the bottommost... Yeah, the bottommost one is actually I have is actually a 3-cost card. Attack and thwart event, actually. So I could bring that back. And I could immediately play it. But man, Collector's going to be hitting for 4. I gotta get rid of that Cloak of Hercules. That's just not good. And I gotta start clearing this out as well. Okay, so we're gonna use conditioning room, which is gonna put me up to full health, and it's gonna bring hit and run back to my hand. Okay. So Gamora's gonna flip up. I am going to let's see, because I can, what is Collector, what are his, he goes up to 14 on the next one. Does he do anything specific when revealed? You must choose to either put the top card of your deck face up into the collection or take 3 damage. Can I kill the Collector? With what I have in hand. Because I can, so if I use Nebula to attack the Collector, that is gonna immediately push him over to the next one, and he'll go up to 14 hit points. I'll take the 3 damage because if I put an extra one, I will lose the game. If I put another card in here, I'll lose the game. Then if I play Acrobatic Move, that's going to be 2, so that'll take him down to 12. If I attack with Groot, that takes him down to 10. If I use Jack Flag's ability, that'll take him down to 8. Yeah, I think I can actually take him out this turn. I think I've got lethal. So, let's do it. Alright, so Nebula is going to attack Collector for 2. That is going to take him out, and that is immediately going to flip him over to Collector 2. When revealed, in player order, each player must choose to either put the top card of their deck face up into the collection or take 3 damage. I will take 3 damage, so I'm going down to 7. Okay. Collector goes up to 14. Alright. So we've used Nebula. We're going to use Jack Flag. We're going to exhaust Jack Flag and remove an ammo counter from him to deal 2 damage to an enemy. So 2 is going to go on the Collector. That's taking him down to 12. Groot is going to attack for 2. He'll take 2 consequential damage, and that'll take the Collector down to 10. Let's see. Alright. Now I'm going to play Acrobatic Move. So we'll deal 2 damage. No, let's see. If instead of Acrobatic Move... Oh, I don't have lethal. I miscounted my resources. This is a problem. Instead of Acrobatic Move, I should have gotten the threat one. That, because it'll reduce the cost by 3. Actually, I think I can still do this. Alright. Yeah, okay. So Acrobatic Move, we're going to deal 2 damage to the Collector. So he's down to 8. Alright. And then we get to remove a threat from the scheme. We'll do that. Then we're going to use a Keen Instinct and a Pulse Grenade to play Forward Momentum to remove 3 threat from a scheme, 5 threat instead if you've played an attack event this turn. Acrobatic move is an attack event, so we remove 5 from here. And this is when defeated, the player who defeated this scheme may play a card from their hand, reducing its resource cost by 3. So that goes, I'm going to put that over there. It only costs 2. Oh, and also this does an extra damage, so this is going to do 1 more damage on the Collector. Oh, and I forgot about Gamora's Sword, which is yet another damage that Collector would have taken. So now we're playing Decisive Blow, deal 4 damage to an enemy, 7 instead if you've played a thwart event this turn. Forward Momentum was a thwart event, so that's 7 damage, so he's going to be at -1. And then, because this is an attack event, Gamora's Sword is going to go off, so he's going to be at -2. And so yeah, defeated the Collector. And I still had a hit and run in hand. And I could have still exhausted for an extra attack from Gamora, so that would be, you'd be at -3. Yeah, so there's Gamora versus Collector 1, which is technically called, I believe, infiltrate the museum. The 2 Collector, so you have infiltrate the museum and then you have escape the museum. Most people just call them Collector 1 and Collector 2. But like, as you can see, it can get, there's a lot going on that you have to pay attention to. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. For newer players, it might get a little confusing. I know for Gamora, like, she was probably one of the more complicated heroes, like, or one of the more complicated early heroes, I should say. There have definitely been more complicated heroes that have come out since, but there's a lot of bookkeeping with Gamora that you kind of have to keep in mind. But yeah, this was a fun game. A lot of dealing with the scenarios in Galaxy's Most Wanted is more of a rush strategy. If you're taking time to build, you're giving the scenario too much time to build as well. I know that's a huge issue with the Nebula scenario. So, because her ship keeps gaining counters on it, and those do some fairly nasty things if you let them build up. So you have to kind of keep getting rid of them, and the longer it's around, the less that you're doing, the more you're just kind of treading water. But I think that was kind of one of the things. Oh, because let's see, what was it? I think the virus that shall not be named, when that whole thing happened, Marvel Champions was still in its infancy. It came out at the end of 2019. I believe it was October, November of 2019. And it ended up being like a huge, like, it pushed off a lot of, because, you know, global shipping and all of that stuff kind of went downhill, so it pushed off a lot of the releases for the new heroes that were supposed to be coming out, and a lot of stuff that was supposed to be happening. So, and then obviously you couldn't do a lot of events in stores because everybody was social distancing. So, people were playing games like more solo. This game became like a very solo focus type game for a lot of people. I mean, for me, that's pretty much how I play the game mostly. I do enjoy playing it with other people, but the way that I play the game the most is actually in solo. So when that happened, I think like when new stuff came out, the tendency when people were playing was that they wanted to do like a more turtling strategy where you would basically just kind of tread water, like get control of the board before you actually went after the villain. And that was not what the design, from what I understand, if I remember the interview correctly that they did with, I think it was Caleb Grace. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was Caleb Grace, where he'd been saying, because I know he said he really enjoyed playing Galaxy's Most Wanted before it released. And one of the things about the Galaxy Most Wanted campaign is apparently, like, it was a campaign where you were meant to, like, go after the villain hard and fast. It was meant more for a rush strategy than it was for people to turtle and try to build out and then go after the villain. With some scenarios in the game, not even just in Galaxy's Most Wanted, but with a lot of different scenarios in the game, the longer that you drag it out, trying to build your character out to get the perfect board so that you can throw everything at the villain at the very end, that's a good way to get overwhelmed. I think designs have gotten a little bit better as time has gone by, and they've had more data and stuff to go with, as far as from play testers and from people who have actually played the game and talking about how they play the game. But I think like with Galaxy's Most Wanted, so I think over time they've kind of, the design for certain scenarios, like they're doing a little bit better about making sure that you have like a couple of different strategies that are viable strategies that you can use to go after the villain. With Galaxy's Most Wanted, I would say your best bet for most of the scenarios is to just rush. Take down the villain as fast as you can. Because the longer that you let them hang around, the harder it is to keep them under control. Ronan especially is kind of, him being the last one, he's considered one of, if not the hardest villains in the game. And part of that is because he just hits so hard. And you can lose in the first turn on a double attack from Ronan just because of how hard he hits. But at the same time, like if you can survive that first turn, but you can do a lot of damage to Ronan, it's within your best interest to do so. Because if you can take out Ronan in the first probably 3 to 4 turns, preferably 3, like the fewer turns that it takes you to get rid of Ronan, the better. You avoid just suddenly losing on Ronan's going to attack me for 10 this turn. Oh, and now he's attacking me again for another 10 this turn. And a lot of his attacks will gain overkill, so even if you threw like an ally in the way, he'll get a boost card that gives him overkill, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm dead, because you were down to 2 hit points, and the only thing that was going to keep you alive was throwing your ally in the way. Anyway, now I'm just babbling about Galaxy's Most Wanted. I mean, it is a tough box. I would say it's probably still the hardest box in the game. But at the same time, I do think it gets kind of a bad rap. I think there's a lot of fun to be had within that particular box. I really like the campaign mechanic that they have with that, where you can go to the market and you can buy different upgrades to put on your hero or the ship if you're playing scenarios where you actually get the Milano ship to use. Yeah, it's actually a really fun box. Not to mention that, it came with Rocket and Groot, both characters that I particularly really enjoy. Well, I think that's who I played Drang with. It was actually Groot protection against Drang. So I think you can go look that up if you want to see how Drang plays. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of one of those ones that I would suggest that if you can find it anywhere, that you pick it up. Even if it's just for Rocket and Groot, because they're both super fun heroes. But, Drang is also really solid. I like the collector one. It's kind of a puzzle. You got to figure out like how many cards can you float in the collection. When do you need to start pulling cards out of the collection? That sort of thing. But I mean, as you can see, if you go hard against the collector from the beginning, the collection is not that big of a deal. And it's not too difficult to actually keep it under control. Assuming that you're not playing a lot of cards that come out into play, sit there, and then leave play, because then that's going to keep filling up the collection pretty fast. So Black Widow, not a good pairing with Collector one. Anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this gameplay. Again, this was standard gameplay, and I guess I forgot to introduce myself at the beginning of the video. I'm Wasteland Sniper. I've been playing Marvel Champions since the beginning. Yeah, I had the core box on pre-order from Team Covenant. After I saw them play it with Evan Johnson at Gen Con after it was announced. Yeah, so I have a lot of knowledge about the game itself. I would not say that I'm a very good deck builder. I'm passable. I can build fairly interesting decks. Not so much powerful decks. There are other people who do much better job at that. They just see those connections way better than I do. And I'm more interested in theme and just fun janky stuff anyway. But yeah, if you enjoy watching just standard gameplay, just kind of chill, like how do you play against this on standard, stay around, subscribe, let me know what you think in the comments, and yeah, I mean, here's hoping that you don't get caught off guard.